A 3/4 ton pickup
No,
truck,
no.
so.
Okay, but anyway, I'll get these to you guys right away.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Anything else for Michael?
No,
Okay. Brandon, did you have something you wanted to?
I'm not asking for a backhoe.
Okay, I think you're gonna get one anyway. Go figure.
I got a Action Center item from our website
Oh,
for open ditch repair. And George, you're gonna be the most intimate with this. It's on Laker Road.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And there is a 4-foot culvert under both roads, upper and lower, just down the road from where George used to live.
oh, okay, yep, I got you.
And it wasn't fun, but I walked through that culvert, because I'm a little taller than 4 foot, but I walked through that culvert and personally inspect the inside of it.
That's right.
This part of it is pretty bad. The problem is there's a median ditch, and they cut in culverts, and so it's washing around where they cut in. It's my intention to replace that culvert, okay? But this repair request says the structure to the drain is caving in and will soon flood the properties on each side. Well, I went out on my lunch and looked at this again, and I don't think this is what they're talking about. I think they're talking
About this
the
here.
wood retaining wall on both sides of that ditch that is holding up their yards. And this is platted 1932 or whatever as a walk. It's not a county drain. I just want to reinforce my belief that the county doesn't maintain structures in these platted lake easements. I mean, am I on the right thinking?
That actually was Judge Rush's decision a few years ago. Different idea, different concept, but essentially, if the county comes in here and repairs this, we have said we'll take care of it.
All of them.
All of them.
Well,
So,
and this
or
is
if the county highway came in here and plowed snow out of here one time, we gotta plow every one that's.
See, part of the problem here is the neighbor up on the hill built a compound up there with, I don't know what it is, a 6,000 square foot house and ponds, and when the pond overflows, everything comes right down into this area, and it's all channeled right into that
Looks like
ditch there, and it's just wiped everything out. But those people have been told the best thing that they can do. You and I talked about this a couple of years ago, about they need, one of the best things they could do is privately put a, not a drain, but a drain pipe in there, 3 foot, whatever, 4 foot, whatever that is, and bury that whole area there. Would be the best thing that they could do. But they have been told that it is not a county drain.
Well, the other odd thing about this request is it come from Stephanie Adams.
Yep.
And you know who she is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephanie lives in Lafayette,
Right.
but her mom willed the house over already. Her mom
Okay.
lives in it, but
Okay. Well,
She got a life lease.
yeah.
Brandon, what was
Just
the
gave it to
address
Stephanie
on
with a
the
life
letter?
lease. So it's okay.
1790.
Well, that's nice, but I think that's to me personally, that's like, nah, it's not our deal to take care of.
So Brandon, when you get to here, on this particular thing, this being the lake, could they get anything to drain it to the lake, or is the water higher than what the drain would? A lot
No,
of
that's not,
times
there's plenty of fall. There's plenty of
You
fall.
could-
They're just worried about, I called Stephanie and left a message to clarify, all right, what the concern is. I believe the concern is these retaining walls, which are just old, 6-inch or whatever, 4 or 6-inch timbers stacked on top of each other, and fence post holding them up or whatever.
Well, that big
yeah, they're in
walnut
bad-
tree is,
It's in bad shape,
it's just,
but I just
That'd be our deal.
don't feel that that's our responsibility. But I wanna
No,
make sure we're all on the same page before I tell her that.
yeah,
But this one's different.
Well, the culvert under the road, that is ours.
Okay, clearly
I've-
ours. Yep,
And
got it.
it's.
From,
it's-
this is pure, this is Linker.
Yeah.
And so, you're talking about under here.
Yeah, but it's
Not
one,
under
it's
here?
one continuous
Oh, it's one
culvert.
continue, okay.
Yeah. Other than,
Okay.
there's a little crossover drive here.
Yeah.
To get from one to the other,
Yeah.
and there's side ditches in between.
Okay.
And they drain into culverts, metal culverts that dump into the 4-foot culvert. And that's where there is some erosion coming in on this east side, but it's in the works to replace that culvert, but I wasn't planning on going the rest of the way down the lake with anything. Okay. Thank you.
I think you're on the right track there.
Stanley?
So I just want to make it clear, I don't have anything to say about trailers.
okay.
Bummer.
The reason why I asked for a little bit of time, I wanted to bring you up to date on 3 different things, I guess, relative to Woodland Lakes. The first is that I've requested payment of the budgeted $400, and you have a copy of that. And you might notice on that invoice that the invoice dates 2/20/13. Don't be worried about that, or that we're all going to be all upset because it's not paid on time. I've talked to Lisa and told her, Lisa Ledgerwood, who's the office gal, and told her what my situation was. It kept me out of the state for almost 30 days. And the end result is that I only got that to Jen here last week, and so that's not an issue. But I did want to say that I had requested that and say how much we appreciate that. And I'm going to say more about budget in a moment, but that's much, much appreciated. The next thing that I wanted to bring you up to date on, and perhaps I didn't think about it at the time, but perhaps I should have had Jen make you a copy of this. But back in April of 2012, you all got a letter, and it's not that big a deal whether you have it in front of you or not, but it talked about the fact that Woodland Lakes was going to work on a redo of their bylaws. And I think the first meeting I attended there was post that meeting where they made the decision to do that. But in the meeting the first meeting for this year that we had on February the 21st, we've approved the changes in bylaws, and it's a 2-step process the way their the way Woodland Lakes Council's whole process works. You have to approve the change in the bylaws, and then you rewrite the bylaws, and then you approve the wording, because it won't look exactly like what the changes were, but it'll have the purposes. And the main thing that's happening, and as I say, the purpose is to bring you up to date on where that's gotten to since you got this letter. But the main thing that's happening is that we're going from a 21-member council board to an 11-member council board, with the idea that that'll remove some almost perpetually empty seats that weren't doing any good anyway. And the immediate effect of that, and that was yet in February, we had a member resign, a fellow by the name of Don Anderson, who resigned, and another fellow died. And of course, that was a loss to the board, and I did not know him well, but what little I had had an opportunity to get to know him, very nice fellow, so it's sad in a couple of ways. But we had that opened up what are called at-large positions on that, and we had a couple of people that we could move then from other positions into those because of the way this restructuring works. So I think it's going to, over time, give us a more full board and make it more reasonable to get things done. With that said, Woodland Lakes can't disappear. Woodland Lakes is the holder of almost 10,000 acres of agricultural preservation land easements. And I know that last summer, when the meeting was over at the high school, I made a presentation about what those land easements are about and what the purpose behind them is. And someone has to hold those. And different organizations write them, but one of the organizations that do is Woodland Lakes. And because they exist, and because they have to be held actually in perpetuity, then Woodland and Lakes can't up and disappear. So it has to go ahead and exist. But because of the loss of federal funding, we've restricted what we're doing now, and we're not doing some of the forestry things we had been doing, and we're not doing some of the outreach things. We're going to continue on others in order to try to preserve our money the very best we can. And in the process of making those decisions, we've also had to make some decisions then on some reinsurance relative to the possibility of any lawyer fees that might come up if the easements are challenged or anything like that. Now, with that said, and the third item, we've approved a budget for this coming year, 2014, because we're sort of we're sort of doing our budget startup stuff just like you folks are. We've approved a budget that will be, if memory serves, $18,950, which isn't a lot of money, but it serves our, it serves what we're trying to do, and all the board members just give their time and so on. With that said, I would then like to put into the minutes here and say that I'd like to request the $400 again. I'd like, if you see fit, for that to stay in the budget in the coming year. And it's not a lot of money against that amount of money that we're budgeting, but we are on our way to, I think, if I count correctly off the top of my head here, 5 things that we hope will bring in some income. We started the last one last year where we had a lady that has as a full-time job, and she's an independent grant proposal writer. And we had her look at what we are and the kind of things that we do to see what grants might be able to be pursued. That hasn't borne a lot of fruit, but it was a first step. The second thing we're going to try to do is really get a clear idea of who our stakeholders are, and we spent some time on that in February, and we're going to then talk to some large companies like Monsanto, for example. I mean, there's tons of them that are seed companies and chemical companies and so on, and say to them, look, we're in the business of trying to preserve agricultural land. Can you, as a stakeholder in the idea of preservation of agricultural land being a part of your business, can you help preserve us? And we'll see where that goes, and we're going to try to do the same thing, same general thing then with some smaller groups around the counties, the 6 counties, with places like River Cooperative out here and so on. And we don't know what we'll end up with. What we do know is that we're going to try to request those sorts of things. Then the fourth thing, we're working on taking money that we do have and reinvesting it, but we're a little tricky because we're a not-for-profit. So it's a little tricky how that has to happen. And I kind of put my foot in it at the last meeting. We had a person who was supposed to bring back information on that and didn't happen to be there and hadn't made any report. And I said, well, I had a couple of ideas I'd be willing to pursue, and did. And I've talked to a person over in Fort Wayne that's made a proposal that we'll probably look at on the 16th, which is our next meeting, where we're going to try to do a better job of investing and make what we can on that. And then the last thing, and we don't have any idea where this might lead, but on the internet there are sites now where you can, if you take some time and think it through and really put together what you'd like to say there, you can put kind of a standing monetary request up to a certain amount on these sites. Now, I think I managed to get on the web and round up 5 or 6 of them, and then went through those sites' information and found out that they are, well, that 2 of that group are willing to take not-for-profits. So that became a limiter, but what we're in the process of doing now, I'm going to bring it up at this next meeting. Do we want then to go to those and see if we can make kind of an open internet request for people who might be willing to support what we do? We're a resource development and conservation group, and so we think we might have an audience, and we think that that might be a place where people who are interested in taking care of environmental land issues and so on, and want to put a few dollars to something, well, they might read our thing and say, well, yeah, we'll give them 5, or you don't have to collect a lot. If you collect $5 from 10,000 people, you got a lot of money, and that might happen across the web. So we don't know what we're going to do there exactly, but those proposals are with the group, and we'll come back together on them. So why do I tell you that? Well, I want you to know what's taking place in the group that you've got me representing you at, for one thing, and the other thing I want to do is to let you know that we know we have to exist, and we know we have to solve the finance problem. We're not expecting the counties to do that, and basically what you give us we really, really, really appreciate, but at the same time we're working as well. So that's what I wanted to cover, and I apologize for kind of being a vapor person on your last meeting, but I didn't know I was going to be in Colorado for a month. But do you have any questions? Is there anything that...
I'd like to make a motion that we put in for 2014 $400 for Woodlands and Lakes. I think it's in the commissioner's budget under a separate line, right, Jen?
It is a different appropriation, yes.
And so this one he has no trouble with, right? Because we've already appropriated this.
Right.
So you can just write him a check. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we put $400 in the budget for Woodlands and Lakes for
Got a
next
motion?
year.
Second.
Got a second? Discussion? All those in favor raise the right hand, opposed the same?
Well, thank you.
My other question then was do you go to the group decos and the Whitley County Community Foundations, and because those places really require you to be not-for-profits?
Well, the lady that we had, I think you saw her name, and for some reason I can't call her last name off right now. I want to say Raymer, but I'm not sure that's right. Leslie Raymers, I think it was. But anyway, the lady that we called in to consult on the grant work, she, I believe, pursued those, but it was her report back to us that she felt like that there was not sufficient availability in those, just with the economics where it is, wasn't sufficient availability in those to really make it worth, well, for her to write proposals to them, and for the number of them that might get funded and bring money back to us, it probably wouldn't even pay for her. And so we have looked at them, but we don't see that as a big source. And I think more than anything else, it's just a result of an overall, no matter what you hear,